Hi everybody, it's Rhonda Johnson. I'm your instructor for BUSN 2210, Applied Office Procedures. You know, this is a capstone course and it's all about showing what you know so that as you go into the workplace and after you graduate, then you will be the expert on document formatting and document production. And so that's the point of the video today is I want to show you one specific thing that many of you already know, but some of you don't. So pay careful attention. This will help you avoid getting points taken off of your documents that you submit for grading because of formatting errors. So let's look at this one. There's an example here on the page. You learned in document production that you need to provide a 2-inch space above the date on letters. And that 2-inch space that you leave at the top, notice that these are non-printed characters. Most of you are very well aware of that. These 2 inches that you leave at the top are for a potential letterhead. So if you were to type a letter and then use a company letterhead to print it on, then you're leaving the space for that letterhead up here. Okay? So if you have a letterhead already, you would not then enter 5 times or 4 times below the letterhead because that would be spacing down too far on the page. All right, the next thing you know is that between the date and the inside address, there should be 3 blank lines. And it appears that there are here because we've entered 3 times. The problem is the line spacing. This particular document, I'm going to look at the paragraph settings under the Home tab. This particular document is set up to use multiple 1.08 line spacing, meaning that the 1 represents whatever font is being used. It's actually whatever size font is being used. In this letter's case, we're using Calibri 11. So 1 equals 11 points plus 0.08. So almost 12 points for each. In this case, if this were say 15 font, it would be almost 16 points. But so we're talking about 11 plus 0.08. So the font is actually putting a little extra space in the line. That's not the end of the world. But this 8 points after is. It is the end of the world when it comes to document formatting. What it means is for every line that we type and then we hit the enter key, understand that this symbol, the paragraph symbol, represents the enter key. It also represents paragraph. So what this spacing says is after each paragraph, we're going to put 8 extra points. Well, that's this space right here. That's the 8 extra points. This is the 8 extra points. Between each of these enter keys, that's the 8 extra points. Well, you also know from document production that the inside address, as well as any body paragraphs in a letter, should be single spaced. Does this look single spaced? I have to say, no, it does not look single spaced. It looks double spaced. It looks double spaced because in the paragraph settings, it's been designated as 8 points after each enter key or after each paragraph. That needs to be corrected. So I'm going to highlight everything on the page. I'm going to go into my paragraph settings and I'm going to take away that 8 points. Now just taking away the 8 points, I want you to watch and see the dramatic difference. Yeah, that looks a lot more like single spacing. It's not exactly single spacing. I'm going to highlight again and show you that if you were to do actual single spacing, it would shore up just a tiny bit more. I'm okay with the 1.08 if you have a preference and you think 1.08 is a nice spacing. I don't have a problem with that. I'm going to change it back again. but I'm not going to be happy with 1.08 with 8 points after each paragraph. That is just not right. So Microsoft, every time they do a version of their software, they change the default settings for their document. So, they have a normal template document, which is anytime you just naturally open up a Word document, that normal dot or that normal template is what you're going to open. I have seen Microsoft versions that had multiple 1.15 for the line spacing with a 10 point after. That's even worse than what we saw here. So I want to say this, it's your responsibility as a student to pay attention to any document that you create or correct, and make sure that before you submit that to me for grading, that you have ensured that the spacing is what it should be. And what it shouldn't be is 8 or 10 points after each paragraph. Now, having said that, what if this were a report and this date were not the date but a heading instead? We might then use the heading styles. So here's heading 1. We can see that, okay, it changed it when I made it heading 1. And if I look in my paragraph here, I can see that this heading 1 style has 12 points before and multiple 1.08. I'm not telling you to go in and change that to single 00. In fact, do not change it to single 00. The whole reason you use styles is to define a different look and feel for the text. I'm going to highlight the same text and click heading 2. Notice that heading 2, if I look at paragraph styles, has only 2 points above, not 12, still using the 1.08. So styles are what you're going to be using in the policy documents that you're going to be creating for this class. And do not change them to single 00, but make sure that your body text and any text that should be single spaced is single spaced. And again, multiple 1.08 and single are both okay. I'm not in any kind of a problem, having a problem with just a slight spacing there being set in the line spacing, but we can't have 8 points or 10 points after each paragraph, creating just a lot of excessive line spacing throughout a document. I hope this is useful to you. I'm sorry it went on a little longer than what I had hoped, but maybe you'll save yourself some errors throughout the semester if you go ahead and watch this. All right. Have a great semester. Thank you.